This is the heart, and this is its beat. In a deep den of iniquity awaits the butcher of antiquity. In veneration of the ordinary, he extrapolates the necessary. Organs with incisions to mend was never a decision. Pale and cold cadaver, no longer pulse container, open wide chest cavity. Most would call this depravity. Yet eyes, veins, and ventricles, he's where our doctors get their credentials. Herophilus, the father of anatomy, was an ancient Greek scholar and scientist who is credited as being the first to perform systematic human dissections, leading to various anatomical discoveries. It is through Herophilus that we have a comprehensive understanding of the liver, the eyes, and the various nerves we have in our brains. Despite this, he was a figure of controversy in Alexandria due to him being accused of performing vivisection, that being live dissection, on criminals and animals. He was seen as an evil scientist committing barbarity and torture among the people, and so human dissection was nearly abandoned for 300 years. I wonder, what would have that dead body, before marred with such a title, thought of their own heart beating inside their own chest with their own flesh and blood coursing inside? That dead body was once a full and animated person with their own life and dreams. I'm sure they would not have thought of their own heart beating there as ordinary. The most notable contribution of Herophilus was that of cephalocentric hypothesis. This is the concept that it is the brain which is the seat of the soul, of the mind, of cognition, of consciousness, of thought. It is the brain which controls the body and not the heart, as was previously endorsed by ancient society and by other scholars such as Aristotle, because the heart was an entirely ordinary organ. This was their heart. This was their beat. Around the Earth, there are electromagnetic currents. These currents are, building up together through the motion of the wind and the lava beneath the Earth and the ocean that crashes upon the floor. The outer core of the Earth is this molten, vast ocean full of iron that's coursing and spiraling and burning. And it's the same iron that we have in our blood, the same iron that beats in our hearts. And every 26 seconds, this electromagnetic field creates a pulse. This pulse can be heard from any seismic station around the Earth. It is the clearest, most accurate, most reliable recording that geologists and seismologists can find, and it has been going on for hundreds and millions of years, rather. Despite this, scientists are not entirely sure where this pulse really comes from. But we do know that the average resting human heart rate beats 26 times in 26 seconds. For our own bodies are our own earths, with our hearts as our own inner molten core, and our blood burning and spiraling the same as the earth and the lava underneath us. This is the earth, and this is its beat. My grandparents were born in Xinjiang, a small town in the far northeastern province of China called Xinjiang. They were born there, and they grew up illiterate, uneducated, and caught between regional tribal wars. They had a house with a small courtyard in the middle where my grandmother raised 8 children. My grandfather was a tailor by trade, and in the summer they would live by the river and work on a wheat mill. In 1972, they came as refugees to Australia, and they moved to regional New South Wales, to Orange, where my father was born 2 months later. There in their country house, they pickled their own vegetables, they went foraging for mushrooms in the forest, they hunted their own food, they worked, they ate, they slept. What a provincial and ordinary life. This year, my family and I have embarked upon a family history project. We have uncovered that my grandfather, in the later years of his life, with what limited language abilities he had begun to write down our story spanning 3 generations, and how his own grandfather had traveled and survived poverty and famine, war and persecution before they eventually came to settle in Australia. He is very precise with what he writes. He was a very practical man. He records facts and he records dates and he writes them down with precision. He does not write about how he feels because, in his own words, he was a scribe and not a storyteller. He does not realize, however, that affection, nostalgia, and love will shine through anyway. And he does not realize that all these years after he has passed, I will read what he wrote. And he writes, "We had a house, and near the house we had a garden. And in the garden were cabbages, tomatoes, cucumbers, and chilies. Sometimes we planted flowers. We had a cow, and when she was healthy, we milked her. There was a field, we walked in the field, and we hid behind wheat so that we could watch the birds fly. This is what our life was." For all my love and my research for my family's history, it struck me that I had always viewed them as ahistorical, as though they were just another event to plot on a timeline in the past. It never occurred to me that through everything, there could still be such life and love and contentment. They cultivated the earth. They lived on that earth. Despite everything, he remembered it with love and with only love. His heart beat in time with the heartbeat of the planet. Walt Whitman says, "To be with those I like is enough. To stop with the rest at evening is enough. To me, to be amongst beautiful, laughing, swimming, coursing, vibrating flesh is enough. I swim in it as in a sea." These domestic mundanities were made extraordinary to me, and I cried as I read it. Every ordinary moment of my life has built up to a time that I have loved and that I can remember with care. And through remembering, I narrate my story to be rich and full, because that is what it feels like to me, and that is how I know it to be important. My grandfather's story is not really his own, as my ordinary beating heart inside me is not really my own either. It beats so fast and it burns red hot to catch up with the beating of the earth and the turning of the earth, and it beats back through time and space to beat with my grandparents, who even from beyond the grave, they have imparted to me such an invaluable life lesson. And just as my grandfather was, and as we all are, we're inextricably intertwined with the souls of the people we meet. And all of us today here in this room are nothing but ordinary beating hearts, and I will remember it with love. So I will leave you with this Chinese proverb. Do not ask your children to strive for extraordinary lives. Such striving may seem admirable, but it is the way of foolishness. Teach them instead to taste apples, tomatoes, and pears. Teach them instead to cry when pets and people die. Teach them the infinite pleasure in the touch of a hand, and make the ordinary come alive for them. The extraordinary will take care of itself. This is our heart, and this is its beat.